Now for updates on what's happening with Luigi Mangione's state and federal cases. Arthur, why don't you bring us up to speed?
Okay, so for those of people who forgot who this young man is, he's the one man who is accused of executing the president of United Healthcare early in the morning, a couple of blocks from where I'm seated right now in Midtown Manhattan by a hotel I walk by on a very regular basis. There is a video of it. He then went on the run and he gets caught with the gun and his diary. And Mark and I have both won some very difficult cases. But boy, this is a doozy for a defense attorney to get out of. I mean, usually when the execution is on video and it's pretty apparent that it is your client who's pulling the trigger, executing someone, and you can see it there, it's pretty hard to get out of that. So
Arthur,
what happens?
He's got no shot at a not guilty.
Well, so here's the deal. And this is the sad part, in my opinion, of the criminal justice system. This is clearly a murder case. And a murder case is 90% of the time prosecuted by the local prosecutor's offices. So this case got international publicity, and it was appropriately prosecuted. The NYPD arrested him. They searched him and got him, made the arrest. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office, Joel Seidman, who's maybe the most senior guy in the office. He's a brilliant trial attorney, is going to try the case. And then Damian Williams, a prosecutor in the Southern District of New York, who is looking to be president of the United States. And I don't say that jokingly. I think that's his goal in life. Says, no, we're going to charge him. We're going to charge him under like this obscure like terrorist law. So now the state prosecutor and the federal prosecutor, even though now it's a new federal prosecutor who's much better, I may add, they're at war over who's going to go first, who's going to go second. And in the feds, is this a death penalty eligible case? Should there be a death penalty here? And that's where we are from a logistical point of view.
Okay, so let's slice through it all. The minute we saw that video, all of us, I'm going to speak for both of you, you tell me if I'm wrong, immediately said, okay, this guy will not and should not ever get out of prison. That is a life sentence when you execute someone the manner in which he did. Do you both agree with me? Let's start with that premise.
Sure.
Okay. Arthur, I didn't get a yes out of you. Come on.
Well, I want to hear about the mitigation, but go ahead.
Well,
he's in his 20s. He's in his 20s. He's in his 20s.
Hold on.
Please.
Let's talk mitigation. Mitigation would be if somehow he proceeds to go to trial and then somehow you're balancing the aggravating and the mitigating factors in a federal death penalty case, which it should never get to that point. I believe that they will and should waive the death penalty, let him plead in both state and or federal court to a life sentence and be done with it. That's what should happen. That's what will happen. There is nothing else on the table. The defense lawyers are doing their job zealously to give him the constitutional rights that he deserves. But at the end of the day, at the beginning of the day, and in the middle of the day, this guy deserves life.
Well, I do think getting a death verdict would be difficult in this case.
Agreed.
So if it's going to be difficult, and really, I think the defense attorneys here are hoping for one thing and one thing only, and that is no death. They win if they just get this guy life in prison. I'm gonna argue with Arthur, I'm sure, because I don't think there's one damn mitigating factor in here. And in fact, I think it's disgusting that anybody has joined.
So let's just say the two of you are right. Do you know? Yeah, you just mentioned the word fan club. Do you know who gets the most mail like old school mail that we used to get in the mailbox in the whole Metropolitan Detention Center?
Sure,
where you have the likes of Puff Daddy, etc., is Mangione. He gets gifts, he gets presents, he gets sweaters. I don't think he receives them because they get taken away.
You're not suggesting that they're going to pack this jury with stealth jurors, people who are gaga over Mangione, and they're going to find him not guilty?
You need is no, I'm not saying that, but you just need one to say the healthcare system is all screwed up and people who need operations aren't getting them because it's financially not in the best interest of the insurance company. Look, Mark, I don't agree with it, but I am in shock how many people protest for him. Free Luigi. It's a whole thing over here in the Manhattan courthouse. Free Luigi. There's all people outside.
Let
with
me ask you
signs and
guys.
shirts.
Let me ask you both. I'm with you, but let's go back to legal. Do you believe that he was committing an act of terrorism, like state prosecutors are alleging? Do you believe that it fits the definition of that? And will they be able to convince a jury of it? Both of you, I would love to hear your thoughts.
No, it's not. It's not terror. It's just cold. It's
Arthur?
not.
Yeah, I don't think that was the legislative intent. Even though Justice Scalia says, I don't care what the legislative intent is, I care what the words say in the statute. I don't think this one particular act. Now, he was doing something to send a message. He's sending a message to the healthcare industry. And this is what doesn't make sense. He was actually treated very well by the healthcare industry, Luigi Mangione, but he was sending a message and trying to intimidate a certain sector of society. And that's one of the factors that the judge is supposed to take into consideration. But I mean, just to be clear with the law in New York, if that part gets thrown out and he's just charged with murder in the second degree and gets convicted, Judge Caro, who's been a judge for a very long time and is a no-nonsense judge, is giving him 25 to life. And, his parole officer probably isn't even born yet.
Well, that's a victory to have second degree as opposed to first. And,
that would be a travesty.
Did he really do this to affect a larger community, or was he looking to execute this one person for some reason?
Well, no, but I don't think he knew this guy. I mean, he wasn't this personal. This other guy didn't sleep with his wife. I don't think he knew. I think he was sending.
Well, then you're making the argument. Then you're making the argument for terrorism. He was affecting a larger community, sending a message to all the healthcare CEOs. You better play more fair. Whatever his stupid ass message was at the time. So
he also sent a message to Brian Thompson's 2 children who now do not have a father. How about that message?
Oh, you're taking away my closing argument. Let's just wait. Sorry. I'm ready. I'm ready for that.
Please.
Yeah.
I mean, look, this poor guy who comes up to me. I'll play now a flip side. Oh, Mangione's going to get acquitted. He's going to get acquitted. I said, yeah, right. The mother or the wife, assuming, is going to testify usually for a prosecutor as the first witness. And she's going to do the body ID, talking about the autopsy. Yes, I had to go in and identify his body. How you think? And she's going to be crying on the stand. Joel Simon will have all prepped in the state court to be emotional. I'm sure it's not going to take much for her to be emotional, talking about the execution of her husband. Those 12 jurors, all of that sympathy, all of that free Luigi stuff, I think that goes right out the window.
I want to talk about the death penalty for a second. In the last segment, I was saying, if not that guy who killed 4 people and has that criminal history, then who? Now we compare that to Mangione. It was not, and these are some of the factors, the killing was not under the definition of especially heinous, atrocious, and cruel. You know those types of murders that are so horrible. He went and he shot someone. Horrible. But within those when you're comparing them to other murders, it doesn't fit that definition. He's got no priors. It's one death. I'm not minimizing it. We're just saying that you're supposed to compare him because death is different, the Supreme Court ruled. So should they be seeking the death penalty for this particular defendant?
That's my point. That's the former U.S. Attorney of the Southern District, Damian Williams, the same guy who indicted Puff Daddy, the same guy who went after Mayor Eric Adams, the same guy who really wanted to grab every headline he possibly could. And just so you know, I'm not wrong. The second Biden loses, he resigns and starts his own website, DamianWilliams.com. That is not what former federal prosecutors do. It's not what Rudy Giuliani did. It's not what Preet Bharara did. That he's looking to make a name for himself. And Mangione, it's so rare the feds are going to steal a case from a prosecution, state prosecution on a pure just murder case, which should just be a state case. But then he really wants to grab the headlines. We're going to ask for the death penalty in New York, which is so rare. I mean, I don't have a recollection of the last time, except maybe killing of a police officer some years back.
So, John, do you agree with us?
For publicity.
No.
Do you agree?
Do
you think he should get the death penalty that they should seek? Listen, I don't mind if the guy winds up on death row just because what he did was so abhorrent. I'll be telling you about it in closing argument again. But do you think that legally this should be one of those cases that the Supreme Court determines is different than the other homicides that warrant the death penalty? Yes or no?
This is not a run-of-the-mill murder. This guy plotted, planned, wrote a manifesto, targeted the CEO of one of the largest, if not the largest healthcare companies in the world, my healthcare company. Look, guys, we're lawyers. People don't love us either. Newsflash, right? Does that
For
give
yourself.
anybody the
Speak
right?
for yourself.
Does that
Speak for
does that
yourself.
give
Arthur
anybody
is
the right
beloved.
to hunt us down at a CLE conference and shoot us in the back of the head because they don't like lawyers and they had a shitty divorce, or they
Wait, hold on. What's CLE?
And no
You're
one's
very
defending,
funny.
Jonna, no
You're
one's
very
defending, no one's defending the actions. Let's talk legally. And you made a point. Perhaps it is.
Those are aggravating
Hold on.
factors.
Cold, calculated, premeditated, CCP, very well thought out. That is an aggravating factor. He didn't just see the dude and say, I'm going to shoot him. So that's
But
to your point.
look,
There's one.
I know a little bit about this case. I spoke to his family when they were on the hunt for an attorney, and the things that will come out if it gets to that point is that, number one, he comes from a phenomenal family who are totally in shock that this happened. Number
I
two,
believe that.
Number two, he's getting the reputation of being like the model prisoner. So I forget who just had a surrender. And he's like the ambassador and saying, okay, this is how you survive prison. Number three, he had this horrible back at like a very, very young age. He had open spinal surgery, and there's going to be expert testimony how that affected his mental ability and his reasoning skills. So there'll be, and Karen Ignifilo and her husband, Mark, who I know, and Mark just tried the Puff Daddy case. They're not going to go in this, lying down. They're going to go in this with a vigorous defense. So it's not going to just be like an open and shut situation. That's
you think he's going to plead to life if it's offered, correct? I mean, come on. You guys would.
I would think that's what his parents, Mangione's parents and family would ask him to do.
Correct.
I think that's the goal. And
we all agree.
We probably will hear more about the extreme emotional disturbance as the case goes on, because like we said, September is a big month and it's not over yet.